and I'll only mention this very briefly out of respect for the family and whatever is going on. But obviously, Mike Hart still on staff, and I read I want to say it was Isaiah Hole, who said that Mike Hart was taking a leave of absence. So when that leave of absence is up, I don't know, but he is still on staff. I think that they're just giving him the time he needs to take care of his stuff, and hopefully he'll be back on the trail soon. We wish him well.
Yeah, he's also in the middle of contract negotiations because him and Ron Bellamy, both their contracts were up this year, and Harbaugh didn't renew them. So there's also that dealing with. Ron Bellamy is signed. He's now signed. I think he got a 3-year extension. Hart's next. I wish he was more present, but obviously we don't know the details. So we wish him the best, and we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. Before we get on to the rant portion of today's Michigan Wolverines Live, a couple of things to remind everybody about. You can talk Wolverines all the time with us on our Discord chat. So become a Patreon member or become a YouTube member on the main channel. You get access to our 24/7 Discord chat to talk Wolverines or anything else that comes up. We've been talking about the playoff. We've been talking about Klyavkov and the Pac-2 coming to an exit and all kinds of other topics. So we're on there. That's where the diehards are. If you want to know where we are, so check that out. Obviously, when you're doing your shopping on Amazon, if that's something you choose to do, then please consider doing it using the link in any description, because then Mark Rogers gets a couple of bucks, and then we continue to get to do these things. So with that said, here we go. So we learned that after 4 days in the transfer portal, and you already know all this, I'm laying the scene out. Yep. 4 days since Keon Sabb, who was obviously a safety for us, was projected to be starting nickelback to replace Mike Sanristil. Yeah. It was reported, not by the Alabama, like a member of the Alabama journalism squad. It was reported and announced by Alabama's NIL collective, right, that Keon Sabb is coming to Alabama. And so this follows the trend of if you remember the picture of the money with the Scott guy, when he was switching from Ohio to Miami, and the big picture of the money. And now we've got NIL collectives reporting people transferring to a different school. So, what's your take on on the tampering that's going on? And can we just have an announcement that either it's legal and everyone can do it, so then Michigan can do it, or come down hard on everybody doing it, like one way or another?
Well, I mean, look, everyone is doing it. This is just the reality of it. Michigan, I'll be honest, Michigan also dips its toe in the water. It's unfortunate that this went how it went down. I don't know if people know this, but Saab has 2 younger brothers who are highly ranked recruits in the 26 and 27 classes. They did a visit in January at Alabama, and it just so happens a month later, Saab is in Alabama. So I would bet any money that there were conversations that day. It is funny to see the collective announce the transfer, because I don't know if I've seen that before. I think that's the first time I've seen that. But it's funny because you see, I don't know if you've seen Florida State and Tennessee, they've both been hit for tampering. And but then you have all these other schools doing crazy tampering, like Texas and Oregon.
Yeah.
And there's other guys on the team like Mason Graham and Junior Colson and Kenneth Grant and others. There's even guys on the depth chart that I've heard names. They're also being tampered with, but thankfully they haven't left or entered the portal. But I mean, this is I mean, look what happened to Xavier Worthy, right? Is that not tampering? I mean, he was committed, he signed his letter of intent, and then he goes and sees Sarkisian down in Texas, So yeah, unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. So what needs to happen is there needs to be a players union, and this needs to be legal. there needs to be a free agency of sorts, or some type of contract where if a player does leave, then they're out of their NIL. You know, I don't know about a salary cap. I don't know if that really worked because I still feel like there would be collectives that would be doing things behind the scenes. But this does need to get to a point where the NCAA, although they won't, it's not happening, makes it so, pay for play is legal. Schools can do it, because that's the problem, is there are schools doing it. And then there's schools who know that it's happening, but they're afraid to do it because they're going to get in trouble, like Tennessee or like Florida State. And like, we can give them crap. We can give them crap. But the reality is there's so many other schools doing it that some schools like Michigan, who has a microscope on them, are afraid to do more, right? They're only willing to pay their own guys. And unfortunately, in terms of recruiting, we're not as aggressive as we should be, because there is that fear that, well, the NCAA is going to come after us. Because, I mean, look at the last two situations we were dealing with. Those are everyone does that shit. Everyone pays for players' meals. I mean, we know what Arch Manning went through. Like, I mean, are you aware of what Arch Manning got? A $500,000 official visit or unofficial visit?
Yep.
And then we get in trouble for a damn cheeseburger. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, well, a cheeseburger and Zoom workout film that the NFL literally was openly doing. But I guess, because if you remember the Hard Knocks and there were some behind the scenes with the teams. It's just on YouTube that they were watching Zoom workout film. So why is it so bad that it was, you paid it for a cheeseburger? There was people watching Zoom workouts, and meanwhile, you've got bags of cash being thrown around here. Very obviously, it just seems like a two-tiered system of justice here.
Yeah, and what's disgusting is one of those Zoom workouts was of a kid with an illness, and he was just trying to show Harbaugh that he was working out with his brother. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's awful. But and then this whole sign gate bullshit.
Yeah.
What are we doing? It's just certain the punishments that they are doing, and then the things they're looking away from, like kids showing up in Lambos on signing day, or the fact that kids are like, oh, it's a business decision, or they got the money in the the commitment photos. I mean, I don't know. If I was a school administrator, I'd be disgusted, honestly. But because what do you do? I mean, do you risk your university? I mean, you have to be competitive. I'm not saying, I'm pro pay for play, but I do understand the hesitancy because the NCAA is so damn, just, you don't even know what they're going to do. You just don't know. I don't know.